What's up, everybody? It's Chris from the BrahjCast, bringing you another kick-ass episode from my office in Mazo, Wisconsin. This week, fellow author Donte M McNeal joins me on the BrahjCast, and we discuss some writing tips, writing tricks, we discuss techniques, we discuss Donte's upcoming releases for the year. Shit, what don't we discuss is the true question, but fuck it, I know you don't want to hear me here. I'm already sounding stupid. I know you don't want to hear me no more, so fuck it. Let's just start the show.
And now, this is the moment BrahjCast fans listening around the world have been waiting for. Live from the BrahjCast studios in Mazo, Wisconsin, it's time! 1 hour of mind-blowing conversation for the podcasting championship of the world. Introducing first, casting out of his office corner, he is a Jiu-Jitsu Grandmaster and a black belt at Knowledge Bomb University, boasting a perfect podcasting record of 420 wins with 0 losses. He stands at 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 180 1/2 pounds, fighting out of Mazo, Wisconsin, introducing the reigning, defending, podcasting champion of the world, the BrahjCast's very own ChristopherMKrerowicz.
All right, everybody, welcome to the BrahjCast. Got author Donte M McNeal with me today. Donte's here to talk about his latest releases, or sorry, not releases, I guess, his latest release and some of his upcoming releases for the year. We're going to also discuss writing techniques. We're going to trade some tips and tricks between each other, but other than that, we're just going to sit around, talk some shit, and talk about the hardships of the life of an indie author, really. But anyway, Donte, how you doing out there?
Not too bad, man. You know, life's been treating me pretty good so far.
And when I say out there, where are you at?
In Dearborn Heights, up in Michigan.
Up in Michigan. Yeah. The only thing I know in Michigan is Detroit. So in reference to that, where are you at?
Couple cities over. I mean, it's not that far. It's like a 5-10 minute drive.
Oh, okay. Is Detroit still a thing, or is it just like?
I mean, I like to think so. Because I don't really go to Detroit a lot because I only have like one aunt that lives there. So
gotcha. Because obviously, also the you know, not living in Michigan, the only headlines I ever really get are about the car industry, how that has left all these buildings there and all these vacancies and everything. So one assumes that that's the entire city of Detroit,
right?
But is it really, or is it just really like
in Miami? And he thought like Detroit was all of Michigan because that's all he knows about it.
Right, but the car industry and that like vacant area, that apocalyptic look, is that like a majority of Detroit, or is that really just like a small section of it?
I don't want to say a majority, but it's like 50-50 because you go down a lot of streets in Detroit, like potholes everywhere, boarded up houses.
No doubt.
So yeah,
that's real, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Damn.
I mean, it definitely helps with like inspiration when you want like an abandoned neighborhood type setting. But yeah, I mean, the media is pretty accurate when it comes to depicting Detroit. It's not as bad as they make it out to seem, but it's definitely not all peaches and rainbows.
Right. Right. And then I guess there's also Flint, Michigan, too. That's always in the news, too. Is that further away from you than Detroit? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. For sure. Well, anyway, you know, me and you we've hooked up and been talking through Twitter and whatnot. And what really got me was, and let me know if I'm accurate in this statement, was we have a mutual friend in Ballart Wright,
Right.
and he does a lot of gaming and a lot of anime, and you comment a lot on that.
Yeah.
And so you're an anime and fantasy fan, yet your writing seems more not fantasy driven, and it's like more dramatic and action like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's weird because the first book that I've written, it was like a passion project from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
But my future novels are all going to be either fantasy or lit RPG or game lit, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been a fan of anime and like over the top superhero movies and comics and stuff. So that's more the area that I want to write in. But my first few books are going to be like more down to earth, real life type urban fiction, I guess.
And that coincides or correlates with your latest release, right? In the
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that and kind of talk about what that is and kind of how you got the inspiration to write that? Because that's what that gets me, because being like a fantasy and superhero fan, I want to, you know, I'm really interested in what inspired you to write more of like a drama. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's weird because, like I said before, it was a passion project from my childhood, right? So I grew up down south in Texas, and I stayed in Dallas, more so South Dallas, growing up, and it was a lot of gang violence. Like, I mean, I would see people walking around with guns outside when I come home from school or something,
Mm-hmm.
or people waiting at bus stops to jump kids, you know, just because they were wearing a different color, you know. You had to be careful to wear like neutral colors so they wouldn't think that you were associated with this gang or that gang.
Jeez.
And the family was kind of born out of that because the main character, Leon, he just wants to unite the communities that have been separated and broken up by these violent gangs. And his best friend, Nicholas, is on the opposite end of that. Like, he believes that violence will quell all this gang warfare that's going on.
For sure.
And I saw myself in Leon growing up because I was like, man, this gang shit is just
Bunk.
for the birds. Like, it sucks. I can barely even go outside without
Right.
somebody saying something because of what I'm wearing or what I say. So yeah, I mean, that's where the family was born. It was this guy who grew up with a kid who was just like him and Nicholas. They grew up witnessing all this gang violence, and he wanted to make a change, but he wanted to do it peacefully instead of, oh, let's fight fire with fire, you know?
That was one of the questions that I had written down, and you answered it already, was are you Leon? Do you find a lot of yourself in that character? So you answered that one for sure. So within the book, is there a lot of personal like memories, like things that happened in your past? Do you try to weave them into the book, or is it completely...
Yeah, a little bit, because like it started up like I was using like characteristics from my friends growing up and putting characters in the book, but it wasn't like I was Leon or anything, but he was created based off of an idea that I wanted to realize, where like communities would be united and everything. But yeah, I definitely used a few personal experience to bring some of these characters to life. Like Leon's mom is in the medical field and likes to help people. And that was my mom has been in the medical field since she was 16. So that was definitely some inspiration there.
Yep.
And a lot of Leon's family members and friends were like caricatures of my friends and family. So yeah, it was definitely some tie-ins.
Yeah, I find a lot of similarities in exactly what you're saying too. That's funny.
Yeah, I think that's the case with most people. If it's like a more down-to-earth story or a drama or something like that, they pull from personal experiences and, I don't know, relationship that they've they formed with random people.
So in a sense, you've been writing the book your whole life, but
Oh yeah.
Piecing it together.
Mhm.
But when you finally sat down and were like, all right, this is it, and started, putting the words out, how long did it take to, just to write it, not, necessarily edit it and everything, just, from point A to point B? How long do you think it took you to write it out?
Ooh, because it started back when I was in maybe middle school.
Oh, no doubt. No
early
doubt.
high school.
I like it.
Yeah. But when I first got serious about it, I think I was in my freshman year of high school. So it took like a year and a half after that to finish everything. And that's before editing and all that good stuff. But yeah, it took about a year and a half. And I'm pretty proud of how it turned out too.
For sure. Like when you say that you started in school, like, was it for like a class? Did you have to write a short story and then
It was.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that before. Because a lot of it is just getting the start, everybody has that story. That's, when people ask me, I don't go around being like, hey, I'm an author. But when I get to know somebody enough and I end up sharing that with them, they're like, damn, you wrote a book. I'm like, I did. And so can you, you've got that story in you. It's just starting it.
Exactly.
It's just starting it. And so that's why I ask, in a lot of these short stories in people in high school and everything, that's the start right there, and you can just make that blossom.
Right.
But anyway, I cut you off, but that is how that kind of worked out for you, huh?
Yep. I had an English teacher who I think it was like the second week of class, and she was like, all right, we're going to try a little exercise. And she wanted us to write a short story on the first thing that came to mind. And I want to preface this by saying I was really hungry. And the first thing that came to mind was a hamburger. So I wrote a short story about a hamburger. And she was like, dude, this is pretty good. Like, you might be something here. So I was like, oh, really? That English teacher, I will remember her for the rest of my life. It was Miss Jordan. She pushed me to actually get into writing seriously. Like,
that's awesome.
For that hamburger story.
That's awesome. And I'll start over a freaking hamburger story. So now that the book is written, the process next is editing it.
Oh yeah.
How did you do that? And, I'm asking you as a, author to author because, it's expensive. Now the book you wrote is over 300 pages, correct?
Yeah.
And that kills us because editing prices are like tier based, and they're like, up to 50 pages, pretty affordable, and 100 pages, But now, I bring them 380 pages. They're like, now we're talking, hundreds of dollars, It's just like, it's out of my range. I can't do it. So I always ask this of other indie authors, to try to figure out, other ways and how they did it, or, so I'm wondering how was the editing process for your book?
All right. So this is it's weird because I started writing this on a site called Wattpad, where you can get feedback and comments and likes and stuff. But one of the other Wattpad authors that had saw my book, she was an English teacher. Nice. She was like, dude, this is pretty good, but it's definitely rough in some spots. So we exchanged emails, and we were going back and forth for like a week and a half because I was a fan of one of her stories, and she's a published author, and I didn't even know that. The one she was writing on Wattpad was one she wanted to get published in the future, but she was an English teacher as well. So I had asked her, would she be willing to like look over my stuff in depth? And she was my first editor.
Nice.
Yeah. So over the course of like 3-4 months, we knocked out that first and second round of editing.
Yeah, definitely the first round, and then boom, you think it's all done. You got to go through it again because there's things that your brain just skips over because you know that story so well, and especially as being the person who wrote it,
right?
You see it just like you're zooming over it in your head, and you miss the dumbest things. It's crazy how you can miss things after you've gone over with a fine-tooth comb.
And then, like, that's a thing, because it's almost always the smallest things that your eyes just glaze over. Because, I mean, you spent so much time with this plot, so much time with the setting and characters, and like, oh, that was obvious. How did I not see that? Sometimes it takes an outside
definitely
perspective.
Yeah, and that can be very, very helpful with grammar as well, and like punctuation and stuff, you know. Like I didn't go to school for that, you know, and of course we all had the classes in high school and college, but how much of that do we really remember? But I try to rely on the fact that hopefully my story is good enough that you're going to go ahead and overlook if my quotation marks, you know, my commas before it or after it, you know. Hopefully you can just let that go.
And I mean, if you can't, I look at that because, I mean, this, like, traditionally published authors who have editing mistakes slip through the cracks. So I mean, correct. I remember finding one in like a John Grisham book, and I was like, really? They're human, you know? Like it was just like really weird, you know? And like it was like a classic, like the. You know, like just two thes in a row, you know, and I was like, you professionals missed this. Right.
But again, the story was so captivating. It was like, and then I just kept going because I was so interested in the story. So hopefully that's what I'm relying on. And I guess, you know, we punctuation and you know, the dialogue one was one that I had to kind of reteach myself when you got characters talking to each other and your quotation marks and question marks. Where do you put this? Where do you put the comma? And trying to make it so you don't always say he said, she said, they said, he, you know, it's just, that was a learning experience for me. And when I, like, as I'm writing the second book, I don't even write those. I don't even put in the quotation marks. I just, you know, it's very roughly just like, almost looks like I would assume it looks like a movie script, really, you know, without like the quotations on it and everything. Because if I get to thinking about that too much while I'm doing the first round of writing, it just stops me, and I'm just worried about that crap. But that's something that I learned when I wrote the first book. I didn't. As I was writing, I was like trying to be all proper and correct, you know, and that slowed the process, you know. And where I have 4 hours to write that night, I really only got to write for half the time, because the other time I'm thinking about mundane shit, you know, not the actual story, and not just letting that flow out of me and then come back and clean it up later. So, but like I said, that was book one. That was a learning experience. So, you know, take all that with you onto the next one. And I'm sure, you know, same thing happened for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been times where I'm writing, because, you know, when you misspell something or have a wrong punctuation mark here, it'll underline it in red.
Yes.
Yeah, like seeing all that.
I know.
Oh man, like,
I know.
I have to fix it.
I know.
I see so many red.
I know. They should just do it in like light green or like purple. You know, something like red is just like I'm typing, but I can still see it out the corner of my eye. I have to correct that motherfucker. I have to correct it. Yeah. It's that red. You're exactly right, man.
Draws the eyes to all your mistakes.
Makes you doubt yourself and shit. Like, man, should I even be doing this? All right, so now you've got the book written. We've got it edited through rounds 1 and 2. Yeah. So now, when are you thinking cover art, and how do you acquire your cover art?
See, cover art was the last thing I did after like the beta reader stage.
Gotcha.
I used Fiverr for cover art.
All right, cool. I was wondering. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you're another author, indie author that utilizes that website. Myself too. I found that on my own too, and I was like, really? People will do anything for $5? You know, it's evolved since its birth. At one point, Fiverr, truly anybody would do anything for $5, but now you've got these tiered packages, and we'll start you at $5, but in the end, you're going to pay $30 at least for something.
Yeah, because I paid about $40-$45 for my cover.
For sure. And, you know, it's worth it. You know, people that do that kind of stuff, that's what they, you know, you pay for that stuff, and it's worth more than $5 for sure. Right. But I mean, before I knew about Fiverr, I'm looking at more of these professional shit, and you're talking hundreds of dollars and shit like that. It's like, dude, what the heck? For what?
Oh man.
You know, what the heck? And then that's, you know, came across Fiverr and met a couple of different artists. Did you work with the first one you met? Was it like you know, kind of love at first sight? There you go. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I tried out three different artists.
There you go.
The first two didn't work out too well. And I mean, even the third one, like the first two like mock-ups she had done, it was like completely like out of left field. Like it was an angel and a demon on the cover, and I was like, oh wait a minute, I don't it's not anywhere near what I wanted. But
right.
Like the third and fourth mock-ups, I was like, yeah, this is better. Right?
There you go.
This is what I had in mind. It's a collaborative process. I had to learn that.
Yeah, definitely, because no matter what, you're talking to a super creative person, and they're going to want to do, they see it, you know, in a different way, just as if they wanted you to write out something for them. You know, you would see it, it would be different for you because that's what you specialize in. And
right.
I had to learn that same thing, just like you're saying, that it's a collab, and also I had to learn how to kind of like say no, you know, because I was like, man, I was really just, really, I don't know what the word is, dang it. Just really happy that they were helping me, you know, for a decent price, that it was like, I felt bad being like, well, this sucks. I don't want that at all. So remember what we talked about at the beginning of this whole thing? Why don't you just start with that, you know? But you know, as a reminder, it's a learning process too, you know, and as a reminder, I have 5 books right in front of me right now that I keep on my bookshelf that are all the progression. Each has a different cover on it for the same story, Ridiculously Amazing Adventure of Haley Spaghetti, but it tells you, and it reminds me of, you know, the process of how it evolved. You know, I went through 3 different Fiverr artists as well, and it just never was really what I wanted. And then I just got lucky enough to re-hook up with a friend of mine, a relationship I had made years prior, and he's a Photoshop gangster, and I was like, really? You know, and just, you know, friendship and helped me out for free, and man, it helped out so much. And to have that artwork to make it come alive, and then I know you know the same stuff, to see your finally what you envisioned come to life is pretty amazing.
And it's funny you say that, because I have a friend who I think I'll be going to for future covers, because he's like in the graphic design. He went to school for it and everything.
There you go.
If things work out with that, then he'll be one of my cover artists, because I see a lot of his projects he's done, like logo branding, website design, and it looks pretty good.
Nice.
See if we can hash something out, because I mean, I don't want to ask him to do it for free, and he's trying to, like, build clientele lists and a portfolio and all this. So I want to help him and get help in return if we can work that out.
Absolutely. You know, for me, I want to just kind of go above the cover art. So on my website, I can have some character art, you know, like step 2, you know, because I envision these characters one way, and I don't know exactly how everybody else sees it, but I'd like to give a nice little foundation of what, you know, I as the author am seeing, you know, and, but again, that's a whole nother process. And, you know, and again, like you said, you want to compensate. So kind of find that middle ground there. And but what about like so you have a website, dontemm.mcneal.com, correct? Now who does all of that work?
I mean, I did it through Squarespace, but I set up everything that's on there.
There you go.
Yeah, I did it myself. I mean, Squarespace is pretty lenient on like the knowledge you need to have to make a website. Definitely.
I understand that.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is already like pre-set up, so you just got to put in like the images and text and stuff that you want there. So
I use Wix.com, and it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing, man. It's just it makes you look like you know what the hell you're doing. You know,
that definitely helps.
I know, right? It's like, oh, so you know what it is? It just adds legitimacy to you. You know, you got to have a website as an indie author. it's cheap. It's one of the cheaper things we can all afford to, you know, 10, 15 bucks a month or whatever the hell it is,
Right.
you know, but you want to have some sort of spot for somebody to come see what you're trying to say, you know, and have some sort of, and it looks good, you know, your stuff looks good. So I was like, dang, it's pretty professional looking.
Appreciate that.
So I was wondering, so like, so you just updated every once in a while. I noticed you have like a blog on there, like you updated like at the end of the year, it looked like, about some goals and stuff like that you're shooting for.
Yeah, usually I try to read a book a week.
Dang.
It used to be like multiple books a week because I didn't have a full-time job and I wasn't trying to write too, or trying to go to school or anything. But yeah, last year my goal was to read 100 books. I barely got half of that. So.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I failed
a good goal, though.
before I had met that goal, but yeah, last year, I mean, full-time job.
Yeah, it happens, man. We need 36 hours in the day and 8 days a week to truly get. As a creative person, just we're everywhere, man. We want to be everywhere doing that stuff, and the last thing our mind, unfortunately, is freaking work.
Right. Gotta pay those bills, though. Unfortunately, I think they need to just come up with like, I don't know, a city or a neighborhood where you can have all the creative types just like go live here free of charge and you just contribute to society with your art.
Right. Pay rent is a book a month or something.
Right.
You gotta crank out and yeah, contribute to society that way.
Right.
I'd be down. Give it a shot, that's for sure. So you have the one book out. That's where you're at right now? What do you think the rest of the year looks like for you?
Yeah, so with the family, that's the only one I have out. I think I put that out a couple years ago, and the first book up for this year is a prequel / side story. It's hard to describe.
I understand the whole hard to describe thing, my brother.
It focuses on Nicholas, the main antagonist of the family.
Cool.
And it goes into like the moment that shapes him into what he becomes in the future. It's a flashback in the family.
I like it.
But I'm making it a whole like side story, so flesh it out more.
Right. I like it. I'm doing something similar with this Spaghetti series is planned a 6-book series, but she only has 5 lands to visit. I know, right? She only has 5 lands to visit, and that offers me the one book will be book number 5 will be the story of her dad. It'll be sort of a prequel, you know, so we'll go all the way up until like she's ready to go into the final land for the, you know, of course, the big boss. She's got to beat everybody, you know, but then it'll be kind of a, you know, before that you'll get the entire story, not the entire story, obviously, but you'll get a huge chunk of like, you know, her dad. And then of course that'll all lead up into why he ended up leaving in the, you know, and how it got captured. So I'll get to tell that whole story from a different perspective. Like it's going to be interesting. I want to set it in like, I want to write like a Western, like an old West, you know, Red Dead Redemption style, you know, like I want my character, her dad to, you know, I just want that old West feel with the boots and the spurs and the shotties and the horse ride and shit like that. But I gotta make all that work time wise, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing with like writing prequels or side stories. You gotta make
Yes.
sure everything lines up.
Everything has to line up, otherwise it's like, wait a minute. But if you can pull it off, it's one of the coolest things in the world.
Oh yeah.
One of the coolest things in the world. It's so what made me such a Star Wars fan and want to watch these first, you know, when the original 3 Star Wars came out, and then boom, they came out with Phantom Menace, and then Clone Wars, and the other one, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I wanted to know the whole story of Vader. I wanted to know how he became who he was. So that was my original, like, big, what really got me into liking that whole prequel type deal and the whole getting pieces of the story. And I don't know, I thought it was really well done. And so I've always wanted to incorporate that as well within my books. So I can't wait to write that one, but dang. What's that?
Prequels, I'm a big fan of them. if they're done correctly.
Right.
Star Wars is like the perfect example of how it should be done.
I still haven't seen the latest movie, man. Have you seen it?
You have to. You have to.
Yeah, I can't believe I haven't. It's just one thing after another, with the holiday release time, it's unfortunately just ridiculously busy for me and the wife. So, and then all of a sudden it's mid-January and I don't even think it's in the theaters anymore.
I don't know. I haven't. Shit, I don't know if it's
right. But we do have like this cheap theater where like movies come out like 3 months later for like $2 or whatever. So, I mean, if anything, I'll catch it there, but I'm not gonna, it's not going to be like an IMAX how I want to see it, But anyway, so you have the prequel is coming out. You don't have to reveal it if you don't want, but have you already named it and everything?
Oh, it's going to be called because all the books in the series are going to be called The Family.
Right.
The subtitle, because the first one was The Family, The Brotherhood. This one is going to be titled The Family Ghost, because that's it's like gang name or whatever.
Okay.
That's what he's known as to all the people who follow him.
Nice.
So,
Are you going to maintain like consistency in the cover art?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You'll keep them all kind of that.
Try like different colored like flames.
Right. I like that idea.
Yeah, I want to keep it close to the family's cover art.
I like that idea a lot. Changing maybe some of the flame color or something like that. Yeah. Something you could do too is, well, here, I'm not telling you what you could do, but with the whole, what it makes me think of is I have a degree in marketing. So I'm always thinking of these weird promos and stupid shit, but with the flame thing, it would be cool to like, I don't know if you can do this either, but like change the flame to say blue and release it for like a month, or you yourself purchase like 50 of them and then change it back, and then so you have like what you could call like a limited edition.
Yeah.
And then if you ever do a book signing or some shit like that, they can have you can sign the blue one or some shit. What I'm thinking is
something I'd be down to do.
Something to do. Like just because when I saw the cover art, I was like, boom, you could change that. But again, that's just me talking out loud.
That's definitely something I might consider doing.
Right, for sure. It would be cool as fuck. I would like to do that with mine. Like with my cover art, though, that I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to add like a gold border or something, like something kind of distinct, because there's not much to change, unfortunately, with my first cover. So. But I wanted to do a whole color-based thing too. When I first was setting this all up with a 6-book series and 5 of them being colors, because she obviously is in the White Hills, and she's going in the second book. She's in the Green Lands, like the forest lands of Sadia, and the third one's the volcanic red of Ashenroth, and then blue water, and then of course black is the last one, and then the book that 5th book, that'll be like the gray one. So I had this whole color-based scheme, but of course, as you know, things evolve, things change, and then of course I ended up with a whole different thing. But never ever. That was the original goal.
Something you would get, like if you ever do like a collection for all of the books, you can have that color scheme. I would love to have that on my.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. Definitely.
Because I'm a fan of like alternate covers.
For sure.
I really enjoy.
Right. You want to have some collectability.
Exactly. I get the physical copies for books that I really enjoy.
What I had mentioned book signing. Have you thought of that in the future?
Yeah, I have, but I haven't like set anything up yet because there's a few like local mom and pop shops that would let you do book signings or whatever in this area. So that's definitely something I plan to do in the future.
You should try to do one, man, and just knock that out, because I've only done one, and it's nerve-wracking, but it's a learning experience, man. Right. And I want to do more. That's for sure. But I had asked Bellard about that too, because I'd like to like collab sometime and get a community together, like maybe 5 of us, and we could meet, in the middle and like get a hotel or something overnight and just like be able to do a book signing, and having everybody there makes it a lot less pressure and nerve-wracking, because when only 4 people show up or whatever, you got to deal with that shit. But like I said, you got to learn about it, but you got to fucking just grind it out, man.
Yeah.
I met this guy when I was scouting possible bookstores. I met this guy when I walked into this book place in Viroqua, Wisconsin, and he just posted up, and he was selling this book, Waterfalls of Wisconsin. And just this regular old dude with this nothing flashy, nothing, just like a desk and like his book on a stand and shit, right? But as an author, you know, I had a lot of questions for him. You know, how often do you sign? How, you know, what I ended up finding out was this dude grinded hard. He grinded every weekend. And, you know, his wife packed him up like his little satchel with some food or whatever, you know, like it's like legit, and packed him, you know, he packed in the back of his little CRV he had outside all his books. And every weekend he traveled the Wisconsin, all of Wisconsin, and just did a book signing. And what I took from that, man, I shook his hand. I was like, man, bro, good for you. I bought a book from him, just, you know, good for you. But what I took from that was that I'm not working hard enough.
Right.
And what I think that I'm doing, you know, and I got to remember that this fucking waterfall guy is out there grinding harder than me.
Right.
So it's like, man, I just got to get out there and do that.
That's some motivation right there.
Right. This fucking guy. We even used his book. We found out ourselves in some place up north, I forget, and we're like, shit, what about that waterfall book? And boom, there it was. Found a waterfall that perfect coordinates and everything. So it was pretty cool. Damn, but I would have never have thought that, you know, like it was just kind of a lucky thing, a thing in my life where I ran into that dude. And if I hadn't been an author myself, I wouldn't have asked him these questions, because but of course I legitimately had 100 questions for him, and he thankfully answered all of them for me, you know, as from, you know, he was like the veteran giving the rookie some tips, you know, like the veteran pitcher.
You got to ask, because I mean, but I've been in this like writer world for a little over a year and a half. Mm-hmm. There's so much I still don't know. So asking questions to people who've been doing this longer than I have, who have more books out than I do.
Right.
Like, that's something I try to do on the regular. I'm always trying to learn something new. I mean, you have to.
You said you wanted to get into the lit RPG community. What is it about that, you know, going from writing, you know, the family, will you still be writing like more, you know, will you be doing both at the same time? Jeez, I got to use my words right here. You know, I'm ahead of myself.
But I mean, like with the type of story the family is, I don't think because I have it set up as kind of a duology. It's only going to be 2 books.
Okay.
Already out. And the sequel, I already have it written, but I got to rework so much because I changed a lot in the final edit of the family. So I have people who survived that I had killed off.
You got to change that.
Had alive before, so yeah, I definitely got to rework a lot of that. But yeah, it's just gonna be the family, then the sequel, and this little side story. But after that, then I don't think I'll be doing like real life type drama stories. It'll be like urban fantasy, regular fantasy, like supernatural shit. Love that.
There you go.
Do you read RPG? Like, I've always been a gamer and I love RPGs, and I hadn't even heard of the genre before I met Ballard.
Me neither.
And, yeah, it was like, wait a minute.
Right.
They had a baby? What?
Right. I was like, wait a minute. So literally you're writing, I just picked up a backpack and I leveled up 3 points and all. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, and I got a whole spreadsheet about, you know, the percentage that you level up and shit. I was like, really? There's a whole, you know, he's like, oh yeah. I was like, man, there is something for everything. There is a community for everybody.
Yeah, I freaking love it, man. Like,
that's
you can
so cool.
find anything out there right now. It's so many different types of people with so many different types of interests. That's crazy, but I love it.
Yeah, you know, and you wouldn't, you know, it might sound strange to people, but it's probably sounds just as strange if you told them 20 years ago that people would pay, you know, would make money for playing video games, like a channel like Twitch. People would make money and shit. Like, I'm watching these guys and it's just like, oh, you just got a $10 tip. You just got a $20 tip.
Right.
Like, geez, man, I could do this. We're all saying that I could do this,
Right.
but then we find out really that the setup is kind of ridiculous, and it takes a lot of time. And if you're gonna go, you got to go all in.
Right. Can't half-ass that.
You can't. But it looks like a lot of fun. You know, some guys are doing it, that's for sure. But again, what I was saying is, if you were to tell anybody that 20 years ago that people would be watching other people, it would be a business to watch other people play video games, you'd be like, shut up. But it's just things change, generations change.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's lit RPG. I had no idea until I met Ballard. But it definitely sounds like what it sounds like to me is a community that's just perfect for me. Writing, gaming, writing everything out in I don't want to say the complexity of it. That's interesting to me. Like the behind the scenes where you got to do all these algorithms and whatever it is how you level up and all that shit. That there's a lot that goes on behind it, and I like all that. The complexity there too, so it's definitely got me interested as well.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Ballard had recommended a lit RPG story to me, and then I found out that one of his books was lit RPG, and like his series, the Hell's Glitch series, I'm like the biggest fan of it because I'm a huge fan of like the Dark Souls type games. Like I tell him all the time when we talk. I'm always talking up your books. Like anybody who likes games or lit RPG, like that's the first thing that I tell them about is like, oh, you haven't read this yet?
Right.
Like I love his book so much. Like, oh man, I can talk about those all day.
For sure. Those
books definitely got me like really interested in the genre and made me want to write one of my own.
Yeah, he talks about it really passionately too, and he knows a lot about the genre, which is cool to talk to him about it. And it's cool to have him on. I'm trying to have him on. I want to have you on, like,
that'd be dope,
as repeat guests too, so we can continue to update each other on where we're at in our processes and shit, and also to try to get this collaborative book signing. Make that a real freaking thing, man. We got to get a couple more people. We got to get a couple more people that are kind of, I guess, close, because we can't ask anybody to be driving from California,
right?
When we're just gonna drive down to like, an hour or some shit,
right?
But what else besides writing? Like where do you? I said in the beginning we were gonna discuss techniques and inspirations and stuff. So like for me, it's easy. The answer is very simple. For me, it's music. Whenever I hear, especially it's something new, for some reason, like this scene will develop in my head like a movie scene. But of course, now that I have characters, they're the lead in these scenes, and and I just end up creating them after a while. Of course, I have to like the song. I have to latch onto it. It has to strike me for some reason. And then, of course, going out and then just turning it into this scene and everything. That's how kind of things happen for me. I wonder what it is for you where you draw a lot of inspirations from.
And I had a friend ask me this last year because I have like 6 or 7 stories in development right now.
Yeah.
So he had asked me like, where do you get the inspiration like for all these different types of stories? And one of them was I was out just like walking just to get some fresh air or whatever. And I saw somebody's shadow, and the angle which I was watching towards them, their shadow melted into somebody else's shadow. So I was like, there's an idea for a story.
Right.
Somebody has some kind of, I don't know, supernatural creature living in their shadow.
I like it.
I had an idea for a story there. And a couple of them I got listening to just music, sitting at home, just vibing. And like a friend of mine put me on to a group called Adventure Club. Like their songs, like they get your blood pumping.
For sure.
The juices flowing in the mind. It's kind of like electronic.
There you go.
But a lot of the songs feature female vocalists, which I love. That's like my favorite type of music, is hearing a woman sing.
For sure.
So, yeah, I was listening to a song off of that album, and I got an idea for a short story set in space just because of the way the music was flowing. Like this shit sounds like something you would hear if you were flying in space or something.
I like it. You know, you're talking about these short stories, and again, here comes the marketing fucking dude in me. But we were just talking about a collab book signing. What about a fucking collab like short story book between me and you and Ballard or something like that?
It's funny you should say that because like the friend I told you was like a graphic designer or whatever.
Yep.
We were talking about doing like a multimedia project. Him and a couple friends would do like the art and the visuals for the stories that me and a couple other people would write.
I would like to do that, man.
Yeah, those plans fell through, but I mean, he's still doing like art and stuff, and I'm still writing. So I would definitely be down for that. Like I see all these like anthologies and short story book bundles or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be in on that.
I think it'd be cool to have one book with 3 different authors.
Yeah.
Or even like 5 of us. You know, again, if we could get like 2 females, 3 dudes, 2 females, or 3 and 3, whatever. Just that would be really cool, and that would, you know, be a real incentive for a reader to get that book, because man, you're not just getting one story from one person. But I don't know if you've heard or if you watch Netflix at all, but there's a show on there called Black Mirror. Are you familiar with that?
And I heard. Like I had listened to the podcast you and Ballard did.
Okay.
Talk about like I stopped after that first episode because I was so uncomfortable. That was like the most uncomfortable hour of my life.
Correct.
And I haven't watched any of it since. But
oh man, they're all great after that, my friend.
Yeah.
They're all great.
Because I've been hearing like nothing but good things recently because I think a new season.
Correct. And they're powerful, man. They're just inspired me, you know, of course, just the same way you said you were walking that shadow story. I mean, I don't remember exactly how, but all of a sudden I had this fucking story too. And I was like, it makes no sense in the Haley Spaghetti world. I cannot incorporate it at all. So it's like, well, do I start writing these ideas down on the side to do short stories as well? Because, you know, not everything's going to be this Haley Spaghetti stuff. So, yeah, and I was like thinking of like a pen name, like to, you know, like to not even, you know, just to have like what are those called? A pen name? Is that a pseudonym?
Yeah.
I forget what that is. Yeah, I know Stephen King a lot of authors actually have them, but man, writing the short stories out would be really cool. I mean, even if they're freaking, 5 pages long or 20 pages long.
I've seen some long, shorter than that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
A page or two.
Yeah. I like that idea, man.
There's no like set length that any story has.
Yes, and that's so pressure free, right? Yeah. And you know, like a lot of the reviews on my book are the length of the chapters. Again, and I try to chop them down.
I know how that goes, man.
But this book 1 is so like the foundation for the rest of the story. Like I have to explain so much, and like as I'm writing book 2, it's like, damn, this chapter's short. Boom. But because I don't have to explain how she knows this, why she knows that, because it's already established. Exactly. So I'm trying to shorten my stories up, or shorten those things up a lot, but writing a short story, I've read one just like you said that was like a page long. I was like, really? This is legit? You can do that? But it got me thinking, and I think that's the whole thing. And just not having to build that foundation, like I was just talking about, my whole book 1 is basically the foundation for the rest of them. Like you can just start like, you know, Jack is running from, something, boom. And
it's funny because like there's a thing called micro stories where it's 300 words or less. And an author friend of mine, she suggested she started doing them, and I was reading a few of them, and I was like, "Damn, man, you can like legit have a 300-word story."
Really? Now I've never even heard of this. I want to
try it, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it because
the
300 words it's not a lot when you get to writing.
No, and especially with my dumb ass, man, I just blah 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 blah,
Oh
man.
yeah.
If I leave you a phone message, get ready. You better pack a fucking lunch, man, because I'm gonna tell you everything about everything
Oh man.
until your shit just cuts off with its default time, and then I'll hit you back again. And I'm infamous for that, So a 300, that's actually really interesting to me, though. I'm gonna look that up after
It's
we're done with
definitely
this.
something to test yourself to see if you can like tell something engaging in a short amount of time.
Because I can't even, if somebody asks me, oh shit, what's Haley Spaghetti about? I'm like,
yeah,
I just like fucking, I'm buffering. I'm like, I don't know what to say. It's so fucking deep. I don't want to even, there's so
doing
much.
like synopsises and blurbs,
That's
trying to
tough.
summarize a 300+ page story.
Yeah, come on, that's
two.
tough. That's tough. Without making it sound so, just like everything else, I guess. I don't. Just you want to add a little bit to be like, and this is my style, and this is
this is why you should read this one over the thousands of other similar types.
Exactly. Oh, girl's dad's lost. She finds out she's stronger and powerful, and she's gonna go rescue her, dad. Well, that sounds cool, bro. It's like, well, trust me, man. It's fucking cool, man.
It's more than what I'm letting on. It's just hard to articulate in the words, man. Just give it a chance.
I do need to really write that like perfect synopsis out and like memorize it so I can just have something on a drop of a dime, because what if somebody fucking is like ready to pay me some money for reals, and I'm gonna be like, darn. They're gonna be on to the next one, son.
Yeah, because they'll be like, oh, you don't care enough about your story.
Exactly. And then it'll be like, you fucking join the team with this waterfall fellow. Who fucking cares? Damn it. So, but yeah, the short story gig, I'm not saying you got to commit to anything right now, but I'm definitely going to bring that idea up to you again and Ballard. And I think that would be a really fun side collabo, very pressure-free project that we could legitly make happen.
All right.
Legitly have a self-published short story book out there. I think that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
That would be really cool. But other than like, what other shows you watch? And you have Netflix then?
Oh yeah, I got Netflix, Hulu. I mean, I just got Hulu though. That was for because like I said before, I'm a big fan of comics, anime, manga, all that. And like this time we living in with like all these superhero shows, like
oh man,
fucking glorious. Every week got Arrow, Flash, fucking Runaways on Hulu. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm in all the superhero shows.
Nice. So you got content galore then.
Oh yeah, too much. Never enough time, man.
Black Panther looks pretty cool. I've been seeing the previews for that one now. I was like, man, that looks pretty raw.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think but I still have to see Thor. I'm watching Justice League in bits and pieces. It's hard to, because I think that was like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it was.
But I watched Wonder Woman in one sitting. That one was great. I thought Wonder Woman was kick-ass. Yeah. I have a hard time with Ben Affleck's Batman, so I think that's kind of why I'm just watching the Justice League in pieces right now. But
I get that a lot, that people don't like what is it they call him, Batfleck?
Batfleck.
Yeah. I mean, it's rumors that he's like gonna be done with Batman soon.
No doubt.
There's that. But I mean, Batman is like my favorite superhero character.
I think so too. Me too.
Dope. I mean, like,
because he doesn't have powers.
Yeah.
He's the greatest fucking detective. He's the smartest of them all.
And having billions of money to get like cool ass gadgets doesn't hurt.
Right. Having somebody that just don't mind making all your shit too, that don't hurt. Just so you can fuck it up.
Right. Yeah, but Batman's too dope, man. Like, dude's definitely one of my favorite characters.
I mean, I remember back in the day, like I'm 37, so when when the Batman came out with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. That was fucking monumental, man. That was the first real big cinema attempt of my generation. It may have happened prior, but I guess Superman was there, but this was like the super production of like Warner Brothers behind it, and their cutting edge technology and the sound, and they had Prince doing the soundtrack, and this top, Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton was, a big guy at the time, and that was monumental, talking Great America rides, it was on McDonald's cups and everywhere you went, just like Star Wars now.
Has their version of Batman. Like my dad, he has like the Adam West from TV.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to watch those.
Have the one you were talking about. Then some people, The Dark Knight Rises Batman, and the younger people are looking at Batfleck as their Batman. And
right. That's unfortunate. Yeah. That's unfortunate. I would have to say if I had to choose one, I think the whole the Dark Knight series did it justice. I think a complete series, good bad guys, fucking Christian Bale. If you could just get past that constipated voice.
Yeah, that was my only, like, ooh, they could have been something different. It was solid.
For sure. I think so too. Especially when you hear Christian Bale talk, because he's really an Irish fella. It's like, holy shit, man! You talk like
a lot of these superheroes are like from different countries, and you don't even realize it until you do like press tour interviews or something like that. Fuck? Like
I just saw a Thor. He that dude is in. They're bringing back Crocodile Dundee.
Oh,
and so it's I saw like a teaser trailer, and it's that dude Thor. I forget what his name is off the top of my head. Chris Helmsworth. And he's out, and a bus pulls up out in the outback of Australia, and he's got the sign in his hand that's for Dundee, and Danny McBride is the guy who gets off of the fucking bus, and he's Brian Dundee, the son of Crocodile Dundee, and that's kind of where it cut off. It was just a teaser, so I have no idea where they're gonna go with that, but I like seeing.
I hadn't even seen that.
Yeah, I just saw that maybe 2 days ago. I think it's fairly new that they announced that one, but I like seeing like Thor, like the big strong Thor guy, and he has range. That dude, he's in another movie that I watched with where he portrayed like a race car driver. I don't know if you saw that one. Rush, yeah, man. I was like, all right, dude, you got range. He's got some acting chops. He's not just muscles and beauty.
Right.
He's a handsome fella, but he can act too. So, I think his brother acts too.
Cardboard cutouts in Hollywood that are just there to look good.
Exactly.
Or whatever, but it's a few of them who can actually, they can bring it, man.
For sure. Have you seen any good movies lately that are not superhero based, more like any dramas or action?
Based. Shit, that's mostly what I've been going to see. I know last year, I'm a big fan of horror, so we had a lot of good, like Happy Death Day. That was pretty good, like a dark take on Groundhog Day.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
Oh man, you got to check it out. It's really good. It's about a girl who gets killed and keeps reliving.
Oh, that's gonna be a Black Mirror episode. that happens sort of in a Black Mirror episode.
It was really good though. And Get Out, I mean, I'm pretty sure
that was good. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah,
Get Out was great. I didn't know that was gonna be turn into what the hell it was. You're just kind of piecing that whole movie together as it goes.
I guess so many fan theories about that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like most of the movies I've gone to see are like freaking superhero movies,
like the action ones and stuff. Yeah, I gotcha. For sure. We just watched one. It's called I, Tonya. And then about the Tanya Harding. Listen to me, like I got some accent and shit. It's about the Tanya Harding story and the Nancy Kerrigan incident and shit. And that one was done really, really fucking good, man. Like the way the story is told, and the production of it, and they kind of go fourth dimension on you, where they kind of look at Ferris Bueller style and look at the camera and talk to you and shit.
I
And
freaking love that song.
I'm such a fan of that. I'm such a fan of that. I like that. It's just unconventional. Gets you like kind of wakes you back up. It's just lets you know that you're watching something from the mind of somebody who's going to try a few things a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really loved about Haiti Spaghetti is like the fourth wall breaks and that. Like I haven't read a book where the author would talk to the reader. I love it so much.
I know. I'm like, whoa, time out here, time out.
I had to reread a couple parts. I'm like, wait a minute,
is he talking to me?
No, but it was pretty cool though. That was,
that was a thing where I was really wondering, should I or shouldn't I do that? And then finally taking the advice of the majority of the people saying, you know what, fuck everybody else. It's your story. Right. You tell it and you say it how you want to, right. Be real, be yourself in it. So I'm happy that definitely.
It's different. I mean, it's memorable. You don't see that a lot.
For sure.
Oh, but the one movie I saw last year, Baby Driver, that was one of my favorite movies of like the past decade, just the way Edgar Wright, the director, incorporated music and everything about the movie. Like, I mean, dialogue, gunshots, gear shifts when the dude's driving away from heists. Like, everything is set to the music. Like,
very cool.
The music before he even wrote up the scenes. Like, that was freaking dope.
Cool. I didn't know that about that movie. I remember seeing multiple previews for it and thinking, all right, this is on the list, but you know how that list gets. That thing fills up and it is what it is. So that's cool. I didn't know that. What about, do you remember, I think last year they released it was that movie that was shot in first person, Hardcore Henry. Have you ever heard of that one?
I went to see that with my brother. That was, I had wanted to take my mom to see it, but it was that would have been because she has MS, right? So
all
that,
would have been real.
That was a dope ass concept, like a movie scene from the perspective of the main character. Like I really enjoyed that. That was
right. Wait till we get movies where we are the main character and we can actually look to the right or the left and. Oh shit, that'd take so much work though. Man, it would, but you're talking about being able to
with this like rise in VR technology.
Correct. And then you're talking watching a movie again and not watching the same movie because this time you're looking to the left to see some shit that you told me about. You're like, oh well, you see E.T. Easter egg, he's on the wall over there.
Man,
if you look,
you're getting me excited for something that might not happen.
I know, right?
I was talking to a friend about. Because Japan is trying to make video games part of the Olympics.
Oh, geez.
How that would even work. Like, they just sitting in a room. Then the commentary would be something like, did you see that move? The timing on that A button jump had to be. Like, how do you even train for video game Olympics? That's
right.
But that's, like, we were talking about it. And our expectations are so high, even if they even end up doing it, which they probably won't because it's video games.
Right.
But yeah, our expectations are way too high. And what actually happens is going to be something like so boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I watch, I actually was just watching I don't know if they were championships or what. It was a tournament for a game that I play that's called PUBG. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I'm getting that for the Xbox pretty soon.
Nice. Do that so we can play online because I play for sure. And it's only $30, man. It's a work in progress. So they give it to you for half price, but they constantly update it. But just watching these guys play, it just reminds me of back when I was in college back in the day, like pre all this shit. Not saying that I laid the groundwork or anything, but we had to give a report on like any topic we wanted to or whatnot, like make up some shit. Or I was like, I don't know how I got to do it, but to make a long story short, I had created this like online basketball league where you could actually like make money being a gamer. And this was before like fucking Twitch and like Major League Gaming and everything. And it was set to the premise of like on a basketball team where everybody would have like if you wanted to join the league, anybody could, right? And you could like, you'd get this basketball player and all his stats would be like 0, so you would just suck. But of course, through advertising, like, oh, well, twice a day you can watch a fucking ad for Sprite. And then you can get 5 attribute points, but nobody can watch multiple ads. It's only once a day, so it's like you got to keep this incredibly even playing field.
Gotcha.
But of course, you could buy 2 liters of Sprite and maybe get a code that you could enter once a day or whatever. But anyway, so you could get your guy, like, and that would be like pre-season. Of course, then you could like actually play on an online league with your pretty shitty player. But of course, if he just like anybody, if you practice good enough with your shitty player, you're gonna do good. Then of course you could get drafted and actually make real money, and then like it's just, I had this whole report about it and shit, and it just reminds, I'm reminded of that I had sort of that idea so far, like so long ago, and it's cool to see it happening now, but it would be hard to be like Olympic based because of the fact that all these games are server based. They're all reliant on like a third party technology that's out of everybody's hands. So I guess that kind of makes that legit, but there's always the possibility that server could be hacked, during the Olympics, to make your guy a little bit more invincible or something, all these weird things. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a gaming Olympics, not just gaming at the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is more feasible.
Cool if it was like a gaming Olympics, that would definitely work better than trying to have one of the sports be gaming in particular. Because I don't really know how that would work. Like, he got a gold medal for this. Yeah, got that first round KO in less than 10 seconds.
Right, or is it in Mario? Or are we playing Zelda? Right, are we playing Smash Brothers? Are we playing Halo?
Lining that up with like track and field and shit like that.
We're gonna cut over to the air conditioned dome where the carpal tunnel guys are fucking playing. Playing Mario. They're speed running through that shit.
That'd be a pretty dope thing to have in a video game Olympics and speedrunners.
Definitely. That was crazy when I saw my first speed run. I watched somebody go through the Mario that took me 4 years as a kid to beat. They did it in 8 fucking minutes. I was like, what?
Like, how do you even know all of this?
And it's not even in like time lapse. That's real.
It's days on end. Like, oh, I'm learning everything there is to know. You gotta have like knowledge of video game systems to even. At least I would think so, considering I know jack shit about like speed running.
Right. It reminds me of a documentary that I had watched a while ago called King of Kong or something like Fistful of Quarters is what it was called, and it followed the top 3 guys in Donkey Kong Arcade. And just like you, what it reminded me is these guys had got it down to a science where each one of them, I mean, if you were on this top level, each one of them had their own machine in their house. Basically, it was in their garage because their wives they hated it. But they had like calculations written on the screen. They had like chalk marks or marks, where they would jump. Like it was like down to that fucking level where their time and everything, and just these calculations to where they got to play so much to where the screen they get to what's called an end screen where the ticker goes over like 1 million points or something like that, and then the game freezes because it can't handle that next digit. Crazy documentary. Is really a good documentary for being about fucking Donkey Kong. It was actually a very personable documentary. You're cheering for one dude, you're hating on the other guy. You get really involved for the documentary being about video games. But one more thing. I know we got already been going about an hour, but you had mentioned that you're a fan of music and more or less you like the women's voices. Have you ever heard of any of these 3? Bishop Briggs, a band called Shade, or Amy Shark?
I have not heard
Nice.
Of any of them.
3 things for you to check out after we're done here, because these are some powerful women's voices that haven't been, they're not at the Adele stage yet of popularity, but they're on the fucking brink, man. Okay. I've seen all 3 of these ladies live, and their voices are amazing. But the sound and the music is also amazing. So Bishop Briggs, Amy Shark, and then there's a band called Shade, SHAED. Good shit. If you could just check them out on Twitter or whatnot, I think you'd like the voice that you're hearing.
Definitely have to check them out.
Other than that, how many Bitcoin have you bought in the last 6 months? Out of left field.
Right.
You got 0 Bitcoin on you?
Yeah, it would have been weird if I would have said like millions.
I know, right?
Going to this whole like in-depth
right
look into Bitcoin.
Man.
Oh man.
I had somebody else that was on a couple weeks ago that gave me the whole rundown on Bitcoin because I was really interested on cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And it's an amazing thing that's going on right now amongst the hundreds of other amazing things that are happening as we speak. I mean, there's that too. So I always ask everybody, how many fucking Bitcoins have you bought? But man, it was good talking to you. I think this was a successful, good fucking first time on the podcast. What do you think?
It was definitely really fun.
Cool. So you think you'd come back on in about 2-3 months and we'll update each other on what the hell's going on in our books and everything? And
definitely.
And I am legitly going to keep railing on about this collab short story book that we're going to gonna make. I think this would be cool. No holds barred. Rules are, just they can be about anything, any length, anything. I think we got something there. Maybe we can collab with some listeners or something like that too. Maybe we can. I don't know. It can evolve into anything. But as I said, I ramble on and on and on, and here I am right now. So anyway, brother, thanks a lot for coming on, and go ahead and say goodbye to the world, and that'll be it.
All right, it's Donte M McNeal signing off.
All right, my man. You take care. I'm gonna plug all your shit in the outro later on.
Gotcha.
All right, cool, man. Take care, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
All right, bye. All right, everybody. Oh my goodness, this is the 100,000th time I've tried to record this damn outro. I suck. Let's just get through it, guys and gals. Here we go. All right, everybody, that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening. A big thank you to my guest, Donte M McNeal. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day, my friend, to come onto the podcast and let me and the millions and millions of the BrahjCast fans, thanks for letting us know what the fuck's going on with your upcoming releases. Yes, I just did a rock impersonation, and yes, it did suck. If you want to follow Donte, follow him at Twitter, Donte M McNeal. Also, check out his fucking website, dontemmcneal.com, a.k.a. Dante's Playground. Tons of book reviews, tons of fucking other cool shit there. Anyway, I made it. I pretty much fucking suck, but anyway, this is the version you're going to get because I ain't going to record another one. I love you. Thanks for the Thanks for the likes and subscribes, guys. Have a good day. Chris, I'm out. God. Again. I have to keep going. Just the worst fucking outro ever. If you've listened, this is episode 13. If you've listened to all these, they are progressively becoming the worst outros ever. So, as I say, worst outro ever. I'm not lying to you. Go back and listen to the other 12. They suck. God. One day, I'm going to end this podcast with something cool as fuck that's going to make everybody want to be like, you know what? I'm going to share this with my friends because this motherfucker was top dog, top nuts, and he said that shit that made me fucking feel that good. Anyway, today's not that day. I love
Don't forget to like and subscribe.